Most people think they already know the Sahara. They imagine an endless ocean of sand stretching beyond the horizon, a lifeless wasteland where nothing changes and nothing survives. But what if that image is completely wrong? What if one of the most misunderstood places on Earth is also one of its most fascinating? Hidden beneath centuries of myths, travel stories, and popular imagination lies a Sahara few people have ever seen. A Sahara of mountains and canyons, ancient civilizations and forgotten rivers, extraordinary wildlife and resilient cultures. A Sahara so vast and complex that it challenges everything we think we know about deserts. This is not simply a journey across sand. This is a journey into one of the greatest unseen worlds on our planet. The first encounter with the Sahara is difficult to describe. Maps cannot prepare you for it. Photographs rarely capture its scale. Even satellite images fail to communicate the overwhelming reality of standing before a landscape so immense that the horizon itself seems to bend beneath the weight of distance. The Sahara covers an enormous portion of North Africa, stretching across multiple countries and spanning millions of square kilometers. It is larger than many nations combined, larger than entire regions of the world that contain hundreds of millions of people. Yet numbers tell only part of the story. The true impact of the Sahara is emotional. As civilization gradually fades behind you and the open desert begins to dominate every direction, a strange feeling emerges. The world seems to expand. Distances become difficult to comprehend. Time begins to feel different. The land appears endless. For thousands of years, travelers have experienced this same sensation. Caravan traders, explorers, nomads, pilgrims, scientists, all have crossed into this immense landscape and discovered that the Sahara is not merely a place. It is an experience. The desert demands attention. There are few distractions here. No towering skylines, no crowded streets, no constant reminders of modern life. Instead, there is space. Vast, uninterrupted space. The kind of space that forces people to confront both the beauty of the world and their own place within it. As the journey begins, the landscape unfolds in unexpected ways. Many imagine that the Sahara consists entirely of giant sand dunes, but the reality is far more surprising. Some regions are covered with stone, others with gravel plains stretching for hundreds of kilometers. Rocky plateaus rise above the horizon. Ancient mountains emerge from the desert floor. Dry valleys reveal evidence of water that disappeared thousands of years ago. Every new horizon introduces another layer of complexity. The Sahara refuses to fit into simple definitions. Its reputation as an empty wasteland quickly begins to disappear, because beneath its harsh exterior lies a landscape filled with stories. Stories written by wind. Stories written by geology. Stories written by people who learned to survive where survival seemed impossible. The desert has always inspired powerful emotions. For some, it represents freedom. For others, danger. Many see mystery. Others see beauty. Perhaps the Sahara's greatest strength is its ability to become different things to different people. At sunrise, the desert glows with shades of gold and amber. Long shadows stretch across the landscape, while cool morning air moves gently across the dunes and plains. The scene feels peaceful, almost fragile. By midday, everything changes. The sun dominates the sky. Heat rises from the ground. The horizon shimmers. The desert reveals its power. Then evening arrives. Temperatures begin to fall. Colors soften. The sky transforms into one of the most spectacular displays on Earth. Sunsets paint the horizon with orange, red, and purple light, while shadows slowly reclaim the land. At night, the Sahara becomes something else entirely. Far from major cities and artificial light, the stars appear with astonishing clarity. The Milky Way stretches across the sky like a luminous river. Constellations shine above the desert just as they did for ancient travelers thousands of years ago. Standing beneath that sky creates a profound sense of connection. Connection to history. Connection to nature. Connection to the countless people who have crossed these lands before. The Sahara is often described as empty, yet nothing could be further from the truth. Its silence contains stories. Its landscapes contain memories. Its horizons contain mysteries. Every dune has been shaped by winds that blew long before modern civilization existed. Every rock formation carries evidence of geological forces that transformed continents. Every route across the desert reflects generations of human movement and adaptation. This is a place where history exists not only in monuments, but in the land itself. And perhaps that is why the Sahara continues to fascinate the world. It reminds us that some places remain larger than our assumptions, larger than our expectations, larger than our ability to fully understand them. As the first stage of the journey unfolds, the desert begins revealing its true character. Not as a barren emptiness, not as a lifeless expanse of sand, but as a vast and dynamic world filled with hidden complexity. The deeper we travel into its heart, the more surprising it becomes. Because beyond the horizon lies a Sahara that few people ever see, a landscape of changing forms, forgotten routes, and endless discoveries waiting beneath the desert sun. The deeper you travel into the Sahara, the more the outside world begins to disappear. Roads become less frequent. Settlements grow farther apart. Cell signals fade into silence. Eventually, there comes a moment when you realize that everything familiar has been left behind. Ahead lies only the desert. Endless, ancient, and seemingly without limits. It is here, far beyond the boundaries of ordinary travel, that the true Sahara begins to reveal itself. And what it reveals is far more extraordinary than most people could ever imagine. At first, the transition feels gradual. Small towns stand at the edge of the desert like gateways between two worlds. Palm groves cling to life around precious sources of water. Markets buzz with activity while vehicles prepare for long journeys into regions where help may be hundreds of kilometers away. Then the landscape changes. The vegetation begins to thin. Fields disappear. The last signs of intensive human activity fade into the distance. Soon, the horizon belongs entirely to the desert. A sense of scale takes hold immediately. Everything feels larger. The sky appears wider. Distances seem almost impossible to measure. Landmarks that look nearby may require hours to reach. The Sahara has a way of reshaping human perception. In cities, people think in minutes. In the desert, they think in horizons. As the journey continues, one of the Sahara's greatest secrets becomes impossible to ignore. It is not a single landscape. It is a collection of many different worlds. The popular image of endless dunes exists, but it represents only part of a much larger story. Some regions are dominated by vast gravel plains stretching toward distant mountains. Others consist of rocky plateaus carved by ancient geological forces. In certain areas, the ground appears almost lunar, covered with dark stones and strange formations that seem more suited to another planet than to Earth. The diversity is astonishing. Every few hours, the scenery changes. Every new region reveals a different personality. One moment, travelers move across broad open plains where visibility extends for dozens of kilometers. The next, they enter landscapes shaped by wind and erosion into towers, cliffs, and valleys that appear sculpted by artists rather than nature. Then come the dunes, the giant sand seas, the landscapes that have become symbols of the Sahara throughout the world. Nothing prepares you for their size. Some rise hundreds of feet above the surrounding desert. Their slopes curve gracefully beneath the wind while sunlight transforms their colors throughout the day. In the morning, they glow softly. At midday, they shine with intense brilliance. By evening, they become rivers of gold flowing across the horizon. Standing atop one of these dunes creates a feeling unlike anything else. The silence is immense. The views seem infinite. Wave after wave of sand stretches toward the horizon, creating patterns that appear frozen in time. Yet the dunes are never truly still. The wind is constantly reshaping them, grain by grain, day after day, year after year. The Sahara is always changing, even when it appears motionless. Traveling through such landscapes requires patience. Distances that seem manageable on maps become major undertakings in reality. Hours pass with little sign of human presence. The desert rewards those willing to slow down and observe. Subtle details begin to emerge. Tracks left by animals during the night. Changes in the texture of the sand. Patterns created by shifting winds. small signs of life where none seem possible. The deeper one ventures into the Sahara, the stronger the sense of isolation becomes. This isolation can feel intimidating, yet it can also feel liberating. The noise of modern life disappears. The constant pressure of schedules fades. Attention shifts toward simpler realities. The position of the sun, the direction of the wind, the condition of the terrain. For generations, desert travelers relied upon these observations for survival. Long before satellites and GPS systems existed, people crossed vast distances using knowledge passed from one generation to another. They learned how to read the landscape, how to interpret the sky, how to navigate regions where conventional landmarks barely existed. The desert became their guide. That legacy remains visible today. Ancient routes still cross portions of the Sahara. Some have been used for centuries, others for thousands of years. Though modern transportation has transformed travel, traces of these historic pathways continue connecting distant regions of North Africa. As evening approaches, the Sahara undergoes another transformation. The heat begins to retreat. Long shadows stretch across the land. Colors deepen. The harsh brilliance of midday gives way to softer tones of gold, orange, and red. The desert becomes almost magical. Mountains glow beneath the setting sun. Dunes cast elegant shadows across the sand. The sky expands into a masterpiece of light and color. Then darkness arrives. With remarkable speed, temperatures begin to fall. The heat that dominated the day disappears into the night. Above, countless stars emerge. Without artificial light to compete against them, the night sky appears almost overwhelming. The Milky Way shines with extraordinary clarity. Ancient travelers once used these same stars to guide their journeys. Tonight, they still illuminate the desert, just as they have for thousands of years. Sitting beneath that sky, surrounded by one of the largest deserts on Earth, it becomes clear that the Sahara is far more than a geographic feature. It is a living landscape, a place of movement, a place of transformation, a place where time feels different. Yet perhaps the most surprising discovery lies not in what the Sahara is today, but in what it once was. Because hidden beneath the sand and stone is evidence of a completely different world, a forgotten world of rivers, lakes, forests, and wildlife that once flourished where the desert now reigns. And that ancient story may be the Sahara's most astonishing secret of all. Imagine standing in the middle of the Sahara Desert and hearing the sound of flowing water. Imagine looking across vast grasslands filled with elephants, giraffes, hippos, crocodiles, and enormous herds of grazing animals. Imagine forests stretching toward the horizon, rivers winding through fertile valleys, and human communities thriving beside lakes larger than some modern countries. It sounds impossible. Yet this extraordinary world once existed exactly where the Sahara stands today. Hidden beneath layers of sand and time lies one of the greatest environmental transformations in Earth's history, a story so remarkable that it completely changes how we understand this immense desert. Today, the Sahara is known as the largest hot desert on Earth. It is a land of heat, wind, stone, and sand. But the Sahara has not always looked this way. In geological terms, deserts are not permanent. They change, expand, shrink, transform. And the Sahara has experienced some of the most dramatic transformations ever recorded. Thousands of years ago, much of this region was astonishingly different. Scientists call this period the African humid period. During this time, powerful climate shifts altered rainfall patterns across North Africa. Monsoon systems moved farther north than they do today, bringing significantly more precipitation into areas that are now among the driest places on Earth. The results were extraordinary. Rain fell regularly. Lakes formed across the landscape. Rivers carved pathways through the land. Vegetation spread across enormous regions. What is now desert became a thriving ecosystem. Satellite imagery and geological studies continue revealing evidence of this forgotten world. Beneath the sands lie ancient river channels that once carried flowing water across vast distances. Dry lake beds mark the locations of enormous bodies of water that supported abundant life. Sediment deposits preserve records of climates dramatically different from those seen today. The evidence is everywhere. The Sahara was once green, not just in isolated areas, not just during brief periods, but across enormous regions that remained fertile for thousands of years. Wildlife flourished. Elephants roamed landscapes that are now barren. Giraffes wandered through grasslands. Hippos occupied rivers and lakes. Crocodiles inhabited waterways where today there is only sand and stone. The diversity of life rivaled some of Africa's most productive ecosystems. Human communities flourished as well. People settled near reliable water sources. They hunted, fished, gathered resources, developed cultural traditions, and left behind clues that continue helping researchers reconstruct this remarkable chapter of history. One of the most fascinating forms of evidence comes from rock art. Throughout parts of the Sahara, ancient artists created images on stone surfaces depicting scenes that seem impossible when viewed against the modern desert backdrop. These artworks show animals that cannot survive in today's Sahara. They depict rivers, vegetation, human activities connected to abundant water resources. Together, they provide a visual record of a landscape that no longer exists. Imagine discovering an image of a hippopotamus carved into rock deep within one of the driest deserts on Earth. At first glance, it seems strange. But the artwork is telling a story of a time when hippos truly lived here, when water was plentiful, when the Sahara was a very different place. For generations, these ancient images puzzled explorers. Today, science helps explain them. The desert itself preserves memories of its wetter past. Every dry valley, every ancient shoreline, every buried river channel contributes another piece of the puzzle. Yet this fertile era did not last forever. Gradually, the climate began changing once again. Rainfall patterns shifted. Monsoons retreated southward. Water sources started disappearing. Lakes shrank. Vegetation declined. The transformation was not instantaneous. It unfolded over centuries and millennia. For the people living there, the changes would have been profound. Rivers that once flowed reliably became seasonal. Grasslands began retreating. Resources became harder to find. Communities adapted, migrated, or transformed their ways of life in response to an increasingly dry environment. The desert slowly expanded. Generation after generation witnessed the landscape becoming less familiar. The world their ancestors knew began disappearing. Eventually, vast regions evolved into the Sahara we recognize today. Sand dunes advanced. Dry plains replaced grasslands. Water became scarce. The largest hot desert on Earth emerged from the remains of an ancient green world. Even now, traces of that transformation remain visible. Scientists continue using modern technologies to uncover hidden evidence beneath the desert surface. Radar systems can detect buried river networks. Satellite imagery reveals geological features concealed by sand. Ancient shorelines appear where enormous lakes once existed. Each discovery deepens our understanding of how dramatically Earth can change. The Sahara serves as a powerful reminder that landscapes are not static. The environments we see today are only snapshots within much longer stories. Mountains rise. Rivers change course. Forests become grasslands. And sometimes, fertile regions become deserts. This story also offers important lessons about climate. The forces that transformed the Sahara operated over long periods of time, influencing ecosystems, wildlife populations, and human societies. Understanding these changes helps scientists better understand Earth's climate systems today. As the sun sets across the modern Sahara, it is difficult to imagine the green world that once occupied this same space. The dunes glow beneath golden light. Rocky plateaus cast long shadows. The desert appears timeless. Yet beneath every grain of sand lies evidence that this landscape was once something entirely different. A place of rivers, a place of lakes, a place of life. And while the story of the Green Sahara may seem unbelievable, it is only one of many surprises hidden within this vast desert. Because beyond the ancient climate history lies another revelation, one that few people expect. The Sahara is not a single endless sea of sand at all. Instead, it contains some of the most diverse and spectacular landscapes anywhere on Earth. When most people picture the Sahara, they imagine a simple landscape: endless dunes, endless sand, endless emptiness. But the reality is far more astonishing. The Sahara is not one landscape. It is many worlds combined into a single vast region. Hidden within its immense boundaries are towering mountains, ancient volcanoes, dramatic canyons, stone forests, giant sand seas, salt plains, hidden oases, and geological wonders that seem more suited to another planet than to Earth. The deeper you explore, the more the desert refuses to fit the image most people carry in their minds. In truth, the Sahara may be one of the most geographically diverse places on the planet. At first glance, the desert appears simple. The horizon stretches endlessly. The land feels open and exposed. Yet beyond every distant ridge lies another surprise, another landscape, another chapter in a geological story written over millions of years. One of the greatest misconceptions about the Sahara is the belief that it consists entirely of sand dunes. In reality, sand covers only a portion of the desert. Large regions are dominated by rock. Some areas are covered with gravel plains that stretch so far into the distance that they seem infinite. Others consist of ancient stone plateaus carved by wind and time into surreal formations. These landscapes possess a beauty very different from the famous dunes. They are quieter, more subtle, yet equally extraordinary. The desert floor often resembles an ancient ocean frozen in stone. Rocks scattered across the surface create textures and patterns shaped by countless centuries of erosion. Every stone tells a story of geological forces far older than human civilization. Then come the mountains. For many visitors, the first sight of the Sahara's mountain ranges is completely unexpected. Rising from the desert floor like forgotten kingdoms, these highlands create some of the most dramatic scenery in North Africa. Among the most spectacular are the volcanic peaks and sandstone formations of the Ahaggar Mountains and the breathtaking landscapes of the Tibesti Mountains. These regions feel almost mythical. Jagged peaks rise above vast plains. Deep valleys cut through ancient rock. Towering cliffs glow beneath the changing desert light. At sunrise and sunset, the mountains transform into sculptures of gold, orange, and crimson. The scenery feels less like a desert and more like another world. Some areas contain evidence of volcanic activity that shaped the land millions of years ago. Ancient lava flows remain visible across parts of the Sahara. Volcanic craters interrupt otherwise flat horizons. Dark rock formations create striking contrasts against lighter desert terrain. These features reveal a violent geological past hidden beneath the apparent stillness of the present. Perhaps the most iconic landscapes are the giant dune fields known as ergs. These enormous sand seas contain some of the largest dunes on Earth. The scale is almost impossible to comprehend. Individual dunes can rise hundreds of feet above the surrounding terrain. From the air, they resemble waves frozen in motion. From the ground, they create a world of curves, shadows, and endless horizons. Wind constantly reshapes these landscapes. No dune remains exactly the same. Patterns shift. Ridges move. Entire sections of the desert slowly migrate over time. The Sahara is never truly still. Its movement simply occurs on timescales longer than human perception often notices. Beyond the dunes lie vast salt flats. These bright, reflective surfaces create some of the most surreal scenery in the desert. Under intense sunlight, they appear almost blinding. Mirages shimmer across the horizon. The boundary between earth and sky becomes difficult to distinguish. Travelers throughout history often describe these regions as dreamlike, places where reality itself seemed uncertain. Then there are the hidden canyons and valleys. Carved by ancient rivers that disappeared thousands of years ago, these landscapes reveal evidence of a wetter Sahara. Steep cliffs rise above dry riverbeds. Narrow passages wind through stone formations. Some valleys shelter rare vegetation and wildlife capable of surviving in protected microenvironments. These locations feel like secrets concealed within the desert. Unexpected reminders that water once flowed where today there is only dryness. Oases provide another extraordinary contrast. After hours or days surrounded by harsh landscapes, The appearance of water and palm trees can seem almost miraculous. For centuries, these fertile islands within the desert served as lifelines for travelers, settlements, and trade routes. They became centers of culture, commerce, and survival. Their importance cannot be overstated. Without oases, many parts of the Sahara would have remained inaccessible to human movement. The changing light transforms all of these landscapes. Morning reveals soft colors and long shadows. Midday emphasizes scale and intensity. Evening brings warmth and depth. At night, the desert becomes something entirely different. Mountains disappear into darkness. Dunes blend into silhouettes. The stars dominate the sky. Far from artificial light, the Sahara offers some of the clearest night skies on Earth. The Milky Way stretches overhead with astonishing clarity. Constellations appear bright enough to guide travelers across vast distances. For thousands of years, people relied upon these celestial landmarks while crossing the desert. The stars became companions in a landscape where conventional navigation was often impossible. What makes the Sahara truly remarkable is not any single feature. It is the combination of all these environments within one immense region. Volcanic mountains, stone plateaus, sand seas, salt flats, hidden valleys, ancient canyons, fertile oases. Each contributes to a desert far more complex than most people imagine. The Sahara is not empty. It is not monotonous. It is not simply a sea of sand. It is a collection of extraordinary worlds connected by distance, history, and the relentless forces of nature. And among these landscapes, people have found ways to survive for centuries. They crossed these deserts long before modern technology, built communities in seemingly impossible places, created cultures uniquely adapted to one of the harshest environments on Earth. Because the next great story of the Sahara is not about geography alone. It is about the remarkable human beings who learned to call this immense and unforgiving desert home. What kind of person chooses to live in a place where rain may not fall for months, where temperatures can soar to extremes, and where the nearest source of water might be hidden beyond days of travel? For many outsiders, the Sahara appears too harsh for permanent human life. Yet for thousands of years, people have not only survived here, they have flourished. They built communities, developed trade networks, preserved traditions, and created cultures uniquely adapted to one of the most demanding environments on Earth. To truly understand the Sahara, it is not enough to study its landscapes. You must understand the people who transformed this vast desert from an obstacle into a home. The story of human life in the Sahara is ultimately a story of adaptation. Generations of desert inhabitants learned lessons written not in books but in experience. They learned how to find water where others saw only emptiness, how to travel vast distances using stars, landmarks, and memory, how to build communities in places many would consider impossible. These skills were not developed overnight. They emerged through centuries of observation, resilience, and deep respect for the desert itself. One of the most iconic symbols of Sahara life is the nomadic traveler. For centuries, nomadic groups crossed immense stretches of desert, moving with the seasons and following routes known only to those who understood the land intimately. Their journeys connected distant regions across North Africa long before modern transportation existed. The desert was not a barrier. It was a pathway, a vast network of routes linking cultures, cities, and civilizations. Movement became a way of life. Flexibility became a survival strategy. Understanding the environment became essential. Every decision mattered. The location of water, the timing of travel, the direction of the wind, the condition of animals. The desert rewarded knowledge and punished carelessness. Among the most important companions in this environment was the camel. Often called the ship of the desert, the camel transformed life across the Sahara. Its ability to travel long distances with limited water made large-scale movement possible in regions where other animals struggled to survive. For generations, caravans of camels crossed the desert carrying goods, ideas, and people between distant worlds. Watching a caravan move across the horizon remains one of the most iconic images associated with the Sahara. The sight feels timeless, a reminder that some traditions have endured despite centuries of change. Life in the desert also fostered a strong culture of hospitality. This may seem surprising at first. In such a harsh environment, resources are precious. Yet many Sahara communities develop traditions emphasizing generosity and mutual support. Travelers crossing remote regions often depended upon the kindness of others. Providing water, shelter, food, or guidance could mean the difference between life and death. As a result, hospitality became more than courtesy. It became a moral obligation, a cultural value deeply woven into daily life. Visitors frequently describe the warmth they encounter in desert communities. Conversations are rarely rushed. Tea is often shared. Stories are exchanged. Relationships matter. The pace of life encourages connection. In many ways, the social fabric of Sahara communities reflects the realities of the environment itself. People rely upon one another. Cooperation strengthens survival. Isolation can be dangerous. Community becomes a source of security. Across the desert, settlements emerged wherever water could be found. Oases became centers of life. Clusters of palm trees marked places where underground water reached the surface. Around these precious resources, communities built homes, cultivated crops, and established trade networks. Some oasis towns eventually grew into important cultural and commercial centers. They became crossroads where travelers from different regions met, exchanged goods, and shared knowledge. Walking through an oasis settlement creates a striking contrast. Beyond the town lies an immense desert. Within it, life flourishes. Date palms provide shade. Gardens produce food. Water supports both people and agriculture. These green islands demonstrate humanity's remarkable ability to adapt even in challenging conditions. Traditional architecture evolved alongside these environmental realities. Homes were often designed to remain cool during extreme heat. Building materials reflected local availability. Narrow streets provided shade. Courtyards created comfortable living spaces. Every design choice served a practical purpose. The environment shaped architecture just as it shaped culture. The rhythms of daily life also followed the demands of the desert. Activities were often organized around temperature. Early mornings and evenings became important periods of productivity. The intense midday heat encouraged rest and shelter. Generations learned to work with the climate rather than against it. This understanding remains valuable today. Despite technological advances, the desert continues demanding respect. Modern vehicles may replace some traditional forms of transportation. Communication technologies may reduce isolation. Yet the fundamental realities of the Sahara remain unchanged. Water remains precious. Weather remains powerful. Distance remains immense. Many traditional practices continue because they are effective responses to environmental conditions. Perhaps what is most remarkable about Sahara cultures is their resilience. Throughout history, desert communities faced droughts, political changes, economic challenges, and shifting trade patterns. Yet they adapted. Traditions evolved without disappearing. Knowledge passed from one generation to the next. Cultural identities endured despite enormous pressures. The desert taught flexibility. It taught patience. It taught endurance. As evening settles across the Sahara, the temperature begins to fall. Families gather. Conversations continue beneath star-filled skies. The same stars that guided caravans centuries ago still shine above the dunes, mountains, and oasis towns. The connection between people and landscape remains as strong as ever. Because the Sahara is not merely a physical environment, it is a cultural world shaped by generations of human experience. And while the people of the desert have mastered the art of survival, they are not alone in inhabiting this extraordinary landscape. Hidden among the dunes, mountains, and rocky plains are creatures that have evolved their own remarkable strategies for enduring one of the harshest environments on Earth. Most people look at the Sahara and see emptiness. They see endless horizons, scorching heat, and a landscape that appears too harsh to support life. At first glance, that assumption seems reasonable. After all, this is one of the hottest and driest places on Earth. Water is scarce. Temperatures can become extreme. Vegetation is often limited. Yet beneath the silence of the desert lies a hidden world of extraordinary survival. A world filled with creatures that have spent thousands of years adapting to conditions that would overwhelm most forms of life. To discover this unseen Sahara is to realize that the desert is not empty at all. It is alive, and its inhabitants are among nature's greatest masters of adaptation. Life in the Sahara begins with a simple challenge. How do you survive where water is scarce? For every animal living here, that question shapes nearly every aspect of existence. Some species avoid the heat. Others conserve moisture. Many have evolved physical and behavioral adaptations so remarkable that they seem almost impossible. Perhaps the most famous desert resident is the fennec fox. With its oversized ears, pale fur, and compact body, the fennec fox has become a symbol of desert survival. Its enormous ears are not simply distinctive features. They help release body heat, allowing the fox to remain active in hot conditions. Its light-colored fur reflects sunlight while providing insulation against both daytime heat and nighttime cold. Because desert temperatures can fluctuate dramatically, surviving requires adaptation to extremes at both ends of the scale. The fennec fox is primarily nocturnal. While the desert burns beneath the midday sun, it remains sheltered underground. Only after darkness falls does it emerge to hunt insects, rodents, reptiles, and other small prey. The strategy is simple. Avoid the heat. Conserve energy. Move when conditions are favorable. Many Sahara animals follow similar patterns. Night transforms the desert. The landscape that seems lifeless during the day suddenly becomes active. Tracks appear in the sand. Predators begin searching for food. Small creatures emerge from burrows. An entire ecosystem awakens beneath the stars. Reptiles are among the desert's most successful inhabitants. Lizards and snakes have evolved remarkable ways of managing heat and conserving moisture. Some species move across hot sand using specialized techniques that minimize contact with the ground. Others spend much of their lives hidden beneath the surface, emerging only when conditions allow. Their ability to survive where temperatures can become extreme demonstrates nature's extraordinary capacity for adaptation. Insects also play an important role. Although often overlooked, many desert insects possess survival strategies that rival those of larger animals. Some collect moisture from the air. Others remain dormant for extended periods until environmental conditions improve. Tiny creatures accomplish feats of survival that seem almost unbelievable. Even birds thrive in the Sahara. At first, this may seem surprising. Yet the desert provides opportunities for species capable of exploiting its unique conditions. Birds of prey soar above rocky plateaus, searching for movement below. Migratory species use portions of the Sahara during long journeys between continents. Others have adapted permanently to desert life. Their presence reminds us that the Sahara is not isolated from the rest of the natural world. It remains connected to broader ecological systems, stretching across Africa, Europe, and beyond. One of the most fascinating aspects of Sahara wildlife is its invisibility. Animals rarely waste energy unnecessarily. They avoid exposure. They remain hidden. They blend into their surroundings. As a result, travelers may cross vast areas without realizing how much life exists around them. The desert rewards patience. Those willing to observe carefully begin noticing subtle signs. Footprints pressed into sand. Small burrow entrances. Movement among rocks. Evidence of creatures perfectly adapted to remaining unseen. Large mammals once roamed the Sahara in far greater numbers than today. During the Green Sahara period, elephants, giraffes, hippos, and countless other species inhabited landscapes that are now desert. As the climate changed and water sources disappeared, many animals migrated toward more favorable environments. Yet some remained. Others adapted. The modern Sahara still supports populations of remarkable mammals capable of surviving where resources are limited. Among the most elusive are desert antelope species, adapted to life in arid conditions. These animals can travel great distances in search of food and water. Their movements reflect a deep understanding of the landscape developed through generations of adaptation. The desert itself shapes every aspect of survival. Water determines movement. Shade determines activity. Weather determines opportunity. Animals must remain flexible because conditions can change rapidly. A brief rainfall may trigger bursts of plant growth. Temporary pools may appear. Insects may emerge in large numbers. Life responds quickly whenever resources become available. This responsiveness is one of the keys to desert survival. Nothing can be wasted. Every opportunity matters. The Sahara's wildlife also demonstrates the importance of resilience. Many species survive not because conditions are easy, but because they have evolved ways of enduring hardship. They conserve energy, avoid unnecessary risks, exploit limited resources efficiently. In many ways, their strategies mirror the adaptations developed by human communities living in the desert. Both animals and people learn the same lesson. Success depends upon understanding the environment, respecting its limits, working with its realities rather than resisting them. As sunset approaches, the desert begins another transformation. The heat slowly fades. Long shadows stretch across dunes and rocky plains. Birds return to sheltered locations. Nocturnal hunters prepare to emerge. The landscape seems calm, yet countless lives are about to begin another night of activity. The Sahara's wildlife remains largely hidden from casual observation. But it is there, watching, moving, surviving. A reminder that even the harshest environments can support extraordinary life. Yet the story of the Sahara extends far beyond the present. Hidden among its mountains, valleys, and remote plateaus are traces of ancient civilizations, forgotten kingdoms, and human histories stretching back thousands of years. And some of those stories remain etched directly into the rocks of the desert itself. Imagine walking through a remote corner of the Sahara and discovering a wall of ancient rock covered with images. At first glance, the carvings seem impossible. There are giraffes stretching their long necks toward trees, massive elephants moving across open grasslands, herds of cattle grazing beside water, hunters pursuing animals through landscapes that look nothing like the desert surrounding you today. Yet these images are real. They are messages from a forgotten world, preserved in stone for thousands of years. They reveal a Sahara that once looked dramatically different, and remind us that beneath the sands of the modern desert lies one of humanity's richest and least understood historical archives. The Sahara is often associated with emptiness, but history tells a different story. For thousands of years, this immense region served as a crossroads connecting people, cultures, and civilizations across Africa and beyond. Long before modern borders existed, the desert linked distant communities through networks of trade, migration, exploration, and exchange. The Sahara was never simply a barrier. It was a bridge. A challenging bridge, certainly, but one that helped shape the course of history. Some of the earliest evidence comes from prehistoric rock art scattered throughout remote mountain ranges and rocky plateaus. These artworks are among the most remarkable archaeological treasures on Earth. Sites such as Tassili Najar contain thousands of paintings and engravings created over many centuries. Together, they form an extraordinary visual record of changing environments and human societies. The images reveal details about daily life, animals, rituals, and landscapes that existed long before written history. They show that people inhabited these regions when water was more abundant and ecosystems were vastly different. Looking at these artworks is like opening a window into another age. The artists could never have imagined the modern world. Yet their creations continue speaking across thousands of years. Each figure tells a story. Each scene preserves a memory. Each image contributes another piece to the puzzle of Sahara history. As climates changed and the desert gradually expanded, human societies adapted. Communities moved toward reliable water sources. Trade routes developed. New forms of social organization emerged. The Sahara's growing dryness did not end human activity. Instead, it transformed it. People learned how to navigate increasingly difficult conditions. Knowledge became valuable. Experience became essential. Understanding the desert meant understanding survival. Over time, some of the most important trade networks in history emerged across the Sahara. These routes connected North Africa with regions farther south, creating channels through which goods, ideas, technologies, and cultures traveled. Caravans crossed enormous distances, carrying products that linked distant worlds together. The journeys were demanding. Travelers faced heat, storms, isolation, and uncertainty. Yet the rewards justified the risks. Trade encouraged cooperation between communities separated by vast distances. It stimulated economic growth. It facilitated cultural exchange. It helped shape entire civilizations. The camel played a crucial role in this transformation. Its ability to endure harsh desert conditions revolutionized transportation across the Sahara. What had once been extremely difficult became more practical. Trade expanded. Routes multiplied. Connections deepened. The desert became a dynamic network rather than an impassable obstacle. Along these routes, towns and cities flourished. Many oasis settlements developed into important centers of commerce and learning. Merchants, scholars, travelers, and leaders passed through these communities, bringing with them knowledge from distant regions. Ideas spread alongside goods. Languages interacted. Cultures influenced one another. The Sahara became a meeting place where different worlds converged. Some of the wealthiest kingdoms in African history benefited from these connections. Control of trade routes often brought prosperity and influence. Gold, salt, textiles, and numerous other commodities moved across the desert, supporting complex economic systems. The history of the Sahara is therefore inseparable from the history of Africa itself. It helped shape political developments, cultural exchanges, and economic relationships that extended far beyond the desert's boundaries. Archaeological discoveries continue revealing new information about these ancient societies. Buried settlements, forgotten structures, tools, pottery, and inscriptions provide evidence of communities that once thrived in places now surrounded by desert. Each discovery challenges assumptions about the past. The Sahara still contains countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. Modern technology has expanded our ability to explore these mysteries. Satellite imagery reveals traces of ancient river systems and human activity hidden beneath the sands. Researchers identify forgotten routes and settlements that would be difficult to detect from the ground. The desert continues giving up pieces of its history. Slowly, gradually, one discovery at a time. Yet perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Sahara history is its continuity. Despite environmental changes, shifting political boundaries, and technological transformations, human connections across the region never disappeared completely. People adapted. Routes evolved. Communities transformed. But the fundamental relationship between humans and the desert endured. The Sahara remained a place of movement, exchange, and resilience. As the sun begins setting over the modern desert, shadows stretch across ancient rock formations that have witnessed thousands of years of human history. The same stars that guided prehistoric travelers still appear above the horizon. The same winds continue shaping dunes and mountains. The landscape changes, yet traces of the past remain visible to those who know where to look. Every carving in stone, every abandoned settlement, every ancient pathway, they all tell stories of people who lived, traveled, traded, and dreamed within this immense desert. The Sahara is not merely a natural wonder. It is one of humanity's great historical landscapes. A place where the stories of environment, culture, and civilization are deeply intertwined. And while history reveals how people adapted to the desert, survival here has never been easy. Beyond the beauty of ancient roots and forgotten kingdoms lies a harsher reality, one defined by extreme temperatures, powerful sandstorms, scarce water, and the constant challenge of enduring one of the world's most demanding environments. Imagine stepping out into a landscape where a single mistake can become a life-threatening emergency. A place where temperatures can soar high enough to overwhelm the human body, where familiar landmarks may disappear beneath shifting sand, and where water, the most basic requirement for survival, can be more valuable than gold. This is the reality hidden behind the Sahara's beauty. While its dunes, mountains, and ancient history inspire wonder, the desert also demands respect. For thousands of years, travelers, explorers, traders, and local communities have faced the same fundamental challenge: how to survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The Sahara is beautiful, but it is never gentle. Its vast landscapes often create an illusion of calm. The horizon appears peaceful. The dunes seem motionless. The silence feels almost comforting. Yet beneath that stillness lies an environment capable of testing the limits of human endurance. The most obvious challenge is heat. During the height of summer, temperatures in some parts of the Sahara can reach extreme levels. The sun dominates the sky with relentless intensity, turning exposed surfaces into sources of intense heat. Walking across open terrain under these conditions requires careful planning. Every movement consumes energy. Every hour of exposure increases risk. The human body depends upon water to regulate temperature, yet water is precisely what the desert provides least. This creates a constant survival equation. Protect water. Conserve energy. Avoid unnecessary exposure. For generations, desert inhabitants learned these lessons through experience. They understood that survival depends not on fighting the environment, but on adapting to it. Travel schedules often reflect this reality. The hottest hours of the day are frequently avoided whenever possible. Activity shifts toward cooler periods during mornings, evenings, and nighttime. The desert teaches patience. It rewards those who respect its rhythms. Another challenge comes from the remarkable temperature changes between day and night. Many people imagine deserts as permanently hot. The reality is more complex. After sunset, temperatures can fall dramatically. The heat accumulated during the day escapes rapidly beneath clear skies. What felt scorching only hours earlier may become surprisingly cold. Survival therefore requires preparation for both extremes: heat and cold, sun and darkness. The Sahara rarely allows complacency. Then there are the sandstorms. Among the most dramatic natural events in the desert, these storms can transform familiar landscapes within minutes. Powerful winds lift enormous quantities of sand and dust into the atmosphere. Visibility disappears. The horizon vanishes. The sky itself changes color. Travel becomes difficult and sometimes impossible. For those caught unprepared, sandstorms can be deeply disorienting. Direction becomes uncertain. Landmarks disappear. Even breathing may become challenging. Throughout history, these storms have influenced travel, trade, and exploration across the Sahara. Many stories passed through generations describe encounters with sudden walls of dust advancing across the landscape, nature reminding people of its power. Navigation presents another unique challenge. In many environments, travelers rely on roads, rivers, forests, or visible landmarks. The Sahara often provides none of these. Large areas appear remarkably similar. Dunes shift over time. Tracks disappear. Distances can be deceptive. A mountain visible on the horizon may require hours or even days to reach. For centuries, successful navigation depended upon knowledge. Knowledge of stars. Knowledge of terrain. Knowledge of seasonal conditions. Knowledge passed carefully from one generation to another. Before modern technology, this expertise could mean the difference between survival and disaster. Even today, experienced guides remain invaluable in many parts of the desert. Technology may assist navigation, but local understanding continues to play a critical role. Water remains the defining challenge above all others. Its scarcity shapes every aspect of life in the Sahara. Travel routes historically developed around reliable sources. Settlements emerged where water could be accessed. Trade networks depended upon locations capable of supporting people and animals. Entire communities organized their lives around the careful management of this precious resource. The importance of water cannot be overstated. Without it, survival becomes measured in days rather than weeks. This reality has shaped Sahara cultures for centuries. Respect for water is deeply embedded within traditions and daily practices. Every drop matters. Every source matters. Every opportunity to conserve resources matters. Yet survival in the Sahara involves more than physical endurance. There is also a psychological dimension. The scale of the desert can be overwhelming. The isolation can feel immense. Hours may pass without encountering another person. Days may unfold beneath seemingly endless horizons. For some, this creates anxiety. For others, it inspires reflection. The desert has a unique ability to magnify human emotions. Its vastness encourages introspection. Its silence invites contemplation. Its challenges reveal strengths and weaknesses that may remain hidden elsewhere. Many explorers throughout history described profound emotional experiences in the Sahara. Some spoke of loneliness. Others described freedom. Many reported a heightened awareness of both nature and themselves. The desert strips away distractions. What remains feels immediate and essential. Modern exploration continues facing many of these same realities. Vehicles replace caravans in some regions. Satellite technology assists navigation. Communication systems improve safety. Yet the fundamental character of the Sahara remains unchanged. Distance still matters. Weather still matters. Preparation still matters. Nature still sets the rules. As evening approaches, the intensity of the day begins fading. The air cools. Shadows lengthen across dunes and rocky plains. The desert becomes quieter, more forgiving, at least for a while. Above, the first stars begin appearing in the darkening sky. The same stars that guided travelers for thousands of years continue shining over the Sahara tonight. A reminder that despite technological progress, the relationship between humans and the desert remains rooted in respect. Because survival here has never depended solely on strength. It depends on understanding. Understanding the land. Understanding the climate. Understanding the limits of human control. And as the modern world increasingly reaches into even the most remote regions of the Sahara, a new chapter is unfolding, one that blends ancient landscapes with emerging technologies, ambitious projects, and profound questions about the future of the world's largest hot desert. What does the future look like in a place that many people still imagine as frozen in time? For centuries, the Sahara has been viewed as a land of ancient caravans, isolated communities, and endless wilderness. Yet beyond the popular image, a profound transformation is taking place. New technologies are reaching remote regions. Modern cities continue expanding along the desert's edges. Scientists are studying its changing climate. Renewable energy projects are reshaping conversations about sustainability. Tourism is bringing travelers deeper into landscapes once accessible only to experienced explorers. The Sahara remains ancient, but it is also becoming part of a rapidly changing future. And nowhere is the contrast between past and future more striking than in the desert itself. The first sign of change often appears where desert and civilization meet. Along the margins of the Sahara, cities continue growing. Roads extend farther into regions once considered remote. Communication networks connect communities separated by enormous distances. Technologies that would have seemed unimaginable a century ago are now part of everyday life. The transformation is gradual, yet it is unmistakable. The desert is no longer as isolated as it once was. Modern transportation has dramatically altered movement across many parts of the Sahara. Journeys that once required weeks can sometimes be completed in days or even hours. Vehicles travel routes that ancient caravans crossed on foot or by camel. Satellite navigation assists travelers in landscapes where orientation was once a specialized skill passed through generations. Communication systems provide connections that previous explorers could never have imagined. Yet despite these advances, the Sahara retains much of its essential character. Distance remains enormous. Weather remains unpredictable. The environment continues demanding respect. Technology may reduce certain risks, but it cannot eliminate the realities of the desert. Perhaps one of the most fascinating developments involves renewable energy. The Sahara receives extraordinary amounts of sunlight. In some regions, clear skies and intense solar radiation create conditions ideal for energy production. As countries search for sustainable solutions to growing energy demands, the desert has become the focus of ambitious discussions and projects. Large solar installations have demonstrated the immense potential of harnessing sunlight in arid environments. The idea is compelling. A landscape defined by abundant sunlight could help generate clean energy for millions of people. The concept has inspired engineers, policymakers, and environmental planners around the world. While challenges remain, the Sahara's role in future energy systems continues attracting global attention. Scientific research is expanding as well. Modern technologies allow researchers to study the desert in ways never before possible. Satellites monitor environmental changes across vast regions. Climate scientists examine historical patterns preserved in geological records. Archaeologists use advanced imaging systems to identify ancient river systems, settlements, and trade routes hidden beneath sand. Each discovery deepens our understanding of the Sahara. The desert continues revealing secrets, not because it is changing, but because our ability to observe it is improving. Tourism represents another important dimension of the modern Sahara. Travelers from around the world are increasingly drawn to its dramatic landscapes, cultural heritage, and sense of adventure. Many arrive expecting endless dunes. They leave having discovered mountains, ancient rock art, oasis communities, and some of the most spectacular night skies on Earth. Responsible tourism creates opportunities for local communities while helping visitors appreciate the complexity of the desert. Yet growth also raises important questions. How can increased access be balanced with environmental protection? How can cultural traditions be preserved while welcoming new visitors? How can economic opportunities be developed without damaging fragile ecosystems? These questions have no simple answers. They require thoughtful planning and long-term perspectives. Climate change adds another layer of complexity. The Sahara has experienced dramatic environmental transformations throughout its history. Scientists continue studying how current climate trends may influence the region in coming decades. Changes in temperature, rainfall patterns, and ecosystem dynamics could affect both natural environments and human communities. Understanding these processes is essential for future planning. The Sahara's past demonstrates that landscapes can change profoundly over time. Its future may depend on how societies respond to environmental challenges unfolding today. Water remains one of the most critical concerns. Across many parts of the desert, communities continue relying upon carefully managed water resources. Population growth, economic development, and environmental pressures all influence how these resources are used. Sustainable management will remain vital for future generations. In many ways, water continues shaping the Sahara just as it has for thousands of years. The methods may evolve. The technologies may improve. But the fundamental importance of water remains unchanged. Cultural preservation is equally important. The Sahara contains extraordinary traditions, languages, knowledge systems, and ways of life developed through centuries of adaptation. As globalization increases connections between distant regions, maintaining cultural identity becomes both more challenging and more important. Many communities are working to preserve heritage while embracing new opportunities. The balance is delicate, yet it demonstrates the resilience that has always characterized life in the desert. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the modern Sahara is the coexistence of different eras. Ancient caravan routes still exist. Traditional lifestyles continue in many areas. At the same time, satellites orbit overhead. Digital communications connect remote settlements. Scientists analyze data gathered from space. Renewable energy projects look toward the future. Past and future meet beneath the same desert sky. As evening descends across the Sahara, the contrast becomes visible everywhere. Modern lights may glow in distant communities. Vehicles may cross routes once traveled by caravans. Communication networks may link people separated by great distances. Yet the stars remain unchanged. The dunes remain shaped by wind. The mountains remain ancient. The desert retains its timeless presence. The Sahara is evolving, but it has not lost its identity. It continues adapting, just as the people who inhabit it have adapted for generations. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. The future does not erase the past. It builds upon it. The story of the Sahara is therefore not a story of disappearance or replacement. It is a story of continuity, transformation, and resilience. A story still being written. And as our journey approaches its conclusion, one final question remains. What does this immense desert ultimately teach us about humanity, nature, and our place within a constantly changing world? What if the greatest secret of the Sahara is not hidden beneath its sands, inside its mountains, or among the ruins of forgotten civilizations? What if its most important lesson is something far deeper? Throughout this journey, we have crossed endless dunes, explored ancient trade routes, discovered evidence of lost rivers, encountered extraordinary wildlife, and met people who transformed one of Earth's harshest environments into a home. Yet the more we uncover, the more the Sahara reveals itself as something greater than a desert. It is a living record of change, resilience, adaptation, and survival. It is a place that challenges assumptions and reminds us how much of our world remains misunderstood. From a distance, the Sahara appears simple, a vast expanse of sand and stone stretching across North Africa, a place defined by heat, dryness, and emptiness. But every step into the desert tells a different story. The Sahara is not empty. It is full of history, full of life, full of memory. Its landscapes preserve evidence of worlds that no longer exist. Ancient riverbeds lie hidden beneath dunes. Forgotten lakes have left traces across the land. Rock art continues telling stories of animals and ecosystems that vanished thousands of years ago. The desert itself has become a giant archive, preserving chapters of Earth's environmental history. In many ways, the Sahara teaches us humility. Human beings often think in terms of decades, sometimes centuries. The desert thinks in millennia. Its transformations unfold across vast stretches of time. Mountains erode. Climate shifts. Ecosystems appear and disappear. Civilizations rise and fall. The Sahara has witnessed all of it. Standing within such a landscape creates a powerful sense of perspective. Suddenly, the scale of history becomes visible. The passage of time becomes tangible. The desert reminds us that change is one of the most fundamental forces shaping our planet. Yet change alone does not define the Sahara. Resilience does. Throughout this journey, one theme has appeared again and again. Life persists. Against extraordinary odds, life finds a way. Animals adapt to extreme heat and scarce water. Plants survive in environments where growth seems impossible. Human communities develop knowledge, traditions, and strategies that allow them to endure conditions many would consider unbearable. The desert is not a story of defeat. It is a story of persistence. Every living thing here represents a triumph of adaptation, a refusal to surrender, a demonstration of nature's remarkable creativity. The people of the Sahara embody this resilience perhaps more than anyone else. For generations, they learned how to work with the environment rather than against it. They understood the value of water, the importance of community, the necessity of patience. Their survival depended upon observation, cooperation, and respect for the realities of the land. These lessons remain relevant far beyond the desert itself. Modern societies often celebrate speed, abundance, and convenience. The Sahara offers a different perspective. It teaches the value of resourcefulness, the importance of balance, the strength found in collective knowledge. Perhaps this is why so many travelers describe profound emotional experiences in the desert. The Sahara strips away distractions. It simplifies the world. When surrounded by endless horizons, priorities become clearer. The essentials become visible. Water matters. Shelter matters. Relationships matter. Nature matters. Many people arrive expecting a harsh wilderness. They leave with a deeper appreciation for both the environment and themselves. The desert becomes a teacher. Its lessons are rarely spoken. They emerge through experience, through silence, through observation. The Sahara also reminds us that beauty exists in unexpected places. Some landscapes inspire through abundance. Lush forests, flowing rivers, towering waterfalls. The Sahara inspires through contrast, through space, through light, through subtle details often overlooked. A dune glowing at sunrise, a mountain silhouette beneath a star-filled sky, the sound of wind moving across open terrain. Beauty here is not obvious. It rewards attention. The longer one looks, the more there is to see. This hidden beauty may be one reason why the Sahara continues capturing the imagination of people around the world. Despite centuries of exploration, it retains an element of mystery. There are still places rarely visited, stories still waiting to be discovered, questions still unanswered. The desert continues inviting curiosity. It continues challenging assumptions. It continues revealing surprises. Looking toward the future, the Sahara remains both ancient and modern. New technologies are expanding our understanding of its landscapes. Scientists continue uncovering evidence of its past. Communities continue adapting to changing conditions. Renewable energy projects, environmental research, and cultural preservation efforts all contribute to new chapters in the desert's story. The Sahara is not frozen in time. It is evolving, just as it always has. Yet amid all this change, its fundamental character endures. The immense horizons, the powerful silence, the sense of scale, the feeling that nature remains larger than human ambition. These qualities continue defining the Sahara. and perhaps they always will. As the sun begins its final descent over the desert, shadows stretch across dunes, mountains, and rocky plains. The air cools. Colors soften. The landscape seems almost timeless. Above, the first stars emerge, just as they have for countless generations. Ancient travelers followed these stars across the desert. Nomads relied upon them. Explorers admired them. Tonight, they still shine over the Sahara. A reminder that while human history changes, certain connections endure. The connection between people and nature, between past and future, between survival and understanding. In the end, the Sahara is far more than the world's largest hot desert. It is a story written across millions of square kilometers, a story of environmental transformation, a story of human resilience, a story of extraordinary life thriving against the odds, a story of adaptation, exploration, and discovery. Most importantly, it is a reminder that the world is always more complex, more beautiful, and more surprising than it first appears. The Sahara may seem familiar from photographs and maps, but the real Sahara is something entirely different. A hidden world, a living history, a landscape of endless wonder. And for those willing to look beyond the stereotypes, it remains one of the greatest journeys Earth has to offer. The desert you were never told about is, perhaps, the one you will never forget. I hope you enjoyed exploring Prague as much as I enjoyed guiding you through it. If you found this travel guide helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful destinations from around the world. Got a favorite spot in Prague? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, safe travels, and see you in the next video.